What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online as usual. If you watched my video yesterday about the Turner, this is Mogul's newest pad split. There is a little bit still remaining, about $32,000 worth. If you haven't picked some of this up yet and you plan to, as always, do your own due diligence on it. I'm going to make a couple corrections from my video yesterday, but before I forget, please like and subscribe. In the description of this video, I have links to all the places where I'm currently investing in fractional real estate online. You want to do your own due diligence on all of those platforms and on any properties I talk about. And this is a great example of why you should do that, because I'm not always right. There's definitely stuff that I miss or I get wrong. Or I just make a silly little error, and I have some examples of a couple of those tonight. Also, in the description of this video, there's a link to the Discord that I have set up. It was actually people in that Discord that gave me the details and the information to make these corrections. So you're welcome to join that. There's no cost. It's not a sales funnel. If you join, you might get DM'd by someone who looks like me, who is an imposter and trying to sell you something. Or get you to invest with them. I'm not doing any of those things. I'll never ask you for money in any manner. So just report that person if that happens. But yeah, by joining that group, and that's my main reason for creating this channel to begin with, is I'm trying to share my experience with fractional real estate, get other people to share theirs, create a community where we can all just have a better chance of making money in this industry, right? Like, I'd like it if we all figured out what's a good deal, avoided problems, helped platforms give us deals that we like better, all those sorts of things. And so, this is a good example of where this didn't look like a great deal to me last night when I did that video, but after a little bit of additional information, it's quite a bit better, I think. I think it's still not... I still don't have all the questions that I have answered, but it was helpful. So if you remember, and if not, just look in the Mogul playlist that I have on my channel and look at the video right before this, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I was concerned about the floor plan, because when you look at the pictures, it looks like it's just a two-story home. When you look at the floor plan, they have main level, upstairs, and basement. And so this didn't make any sense, and the square footage also didn't make any sense when you looked at the public records. Somebody asked the question and then reported to our group. What the response that they got is that when you walk in the front door, and let's actually go to the picture of the front of the house. So when you walk in the front door, this section is from the front door and to the left, and this section is on the right. And apparently... I think what it is this is actually a split level home. And so, there's some stairs up here. So these aren't exactly level, I guess. I mean, so everything on this side is on the left of the front door. Everything on this side is on the right of the front door. And so then the basement, is only about half the size of the upstairs. And that sort of seems right. It looks odd when you look at it like this. Because this is a view from the back, and it's hard to understand how that works. But, because they do have windows on both sides of what looks like the bottom floor. So I'm not completely sure. I wonder if you have some rooms that you can see 2 stories of windows in. That would kind of clear some of that up as well. So anyway, I did, it's not a full answer of what's actually going on there. I don't know what that's all about, but it's at least making it clear, like, okay, that's why we have 2, these are just to the left and right of the front door, but both above grade, and then this is just the basement. It doesn't clear up the square footage issue, because in the and some of this discussion is going on inside the clubs, in the Mogul clubs. So you can look in there. I think in the 400 is where this discussion was happening, but also too in our Discord, you can see who asked that question and where, the answer and what he shared. But so the total square footage in the public records is like 1,400 plus 500 basement. But then, Mogul is saying that it is which when you add those two numbers together, that's how you get this 1959. But then Mogul is saying that this basement is 1,100 plus square feet. And then that number for square footage, 1,100 plus, also shows up in the public records. So it's still pretty unclear exactly how many square feet we have. I don't understand how come, if this number already included some basement, how do we have 1,100 extra square feet? I guess it's possible, but it's just not perfectly clear to me. But I think that understanding the layout a little bit better makes me at least, feel better about the fact that I don't think this is just a 2,000 square foot home. I do think we're getting something more than that. Exactly how many square feet more, I'm just not convinced still that it's 3,000 square feet we're looking at. Especially because we only have 8 bedrooms, right? And if you had this 1959 plus 1,100, if you have, that's a ton of square footage, right? 3,000 square feet and only having 8 bedrooms doesn't strike me as being accurate. I don't know that for sure. But if this was actually 1,400 and change, which is what the above grade was supposed to be according to the public records, and then you had 1,100 square feet of basement, okay, so now we're getting to 2,500. That seems to make some sense to me. But again, I don't know for sure, which is why it would always be nice to get perfectly clear details about the physical aspects of the property whenever you do have something that doesn't match up exactly with the public records. And explain how, why this number that in the public record shows up with an extra 500 square feet that's included in the basement, how that works, right? Or did they expand the basement? Did they, is the upstairs really now 1959? I don't know. I mean, so that's still an open question, but at least understanding how this works is helpful. The other thing that I was completely wrong about, though, is, and I think this is the more important point, right? Because I believe we're doing okay on the, on the basis side of this, because it does seem like we have, there was a considerable amount of work being done. There's a lot of bedrooms and bathrooms being added to a property that doesn't currently have them, and so. I'm not terribly worried about the basis. I was concerned about their projections for year one, and I was looking at, their $63,900 in top line revenue, and I used the pad split calculator, and Ike actually pointed out to me that I got this wrong, and I think I made the mistake he mentioned. I think I put 6 rooms with shared bathrooms and 2 private, but in this property it's opposite. It's 2 bedrooms with shared bathrooms and 6 private. And so when I do that and I look at the breakdown, we get to 77,000 and then subtract 11,000. That gets us to 66,000 roughly. I'm just doing guerrilla math on this channel. And so it actually, by looking at it that way, it looks like they're making a conservative projection on the rental income side, right? It looks like they're projecting something that's lower than lower than what the pad split calculator was spitting out for me. So this was just a complete error on my part. I appreciate it being pointed out because I don't want to ever put out bad info on this stuff. My goal is for all of us to make money, and we do that by sharing information, sharing due diligence, finding good deals, helping each other avoid bad deals, all of that stuff. And so in addition to joining the Discord to be able to share that, Mogul does have these clubs, and if you haven't joined a club, I do have a link with the invite to this 400 club. This is the one that I'm in. You can come in here and ask questions. Let's see if they actually. Oh, maybe it wasn't in this one that question was asked, and maybe it was in a different one of them. He mentions it in the Discord though, which club he asked the question with. I think I'm not 100% sure about that. Let me just open this and just make sure. Nope, there's no discussion there. Doesn't look like it. Nope. And no questions there. That's interesting. Okay, but anyway, they do have their own little area where you can jump in there and talk to people. If you haven't joined the clubs, as far as I can tell, there's no downside, and I do get quite a bit of rewards from, people investing in the clubs. And when you invest in there, you own a certain percentage of the club, and then you get rewards as well. So I think there's no downside to it. If you haven't done that already, and you're already investing on Mogul, I recommend getting into a club. As far as whether or not you should invest on Mogul, that's something you have to decide for yourself, right? Do your own due diligence on this platform. It has been one that I've bought quite a few deals on. I talked about some of the other pad splits in this same market. But it is, as far as the club side of it, I just see no downside. And it is just, as far as I can tell, free money if you're going to invest in their platform anyway. And then, you can ask questions in there. Especially, I joined the 400 because it's the one that some of the Mogul founders are in. And so I find that the questions get answered pretty quickly in there. I'm sure some of the other clubs are sharing good info as well. Although some of them, appear to be a little bit more pumping stuff. Although, I guess they do that in the 400 as well, but I expect it from them because they're, people from Mogul. Anyway, I think that's really it. If you've invested in this one, and you think there's something I'm missing, I'd love to hear about it. Or if you didn't invest in it and there's something I'm missing, also please share that. If you have more insight into the square footage issue, that would be fantastic. Because, like I said, 3,000 square feet for 8 bedrooms doesn't make a ton of sense to me. The public records make it look like 500 of that 1,900 is already basement space. So, I just want, it'd be awesome if they gave us measurements in these floor plans and then we'd know exactly where all the square footage is. I'm always bugging all the platforms to give us more detailed info and more transparency. That's one of the things I'd like it if we just all pushed for that as well. So if you haven't asked a platform lately to give you more details about something, I'd encourage you to do so. Unrelated to this deal or Mogul, tomorrow is dividend day for ARC 7, and that's when they start doing their little bonus purchases, bonus for buying around dividend day. If you haven't already invested on that platform, it's a good time period to check it out. But again, you want to make sure it's the right deals for you. Don't just do it because I'm investing on there or because I'm providing links or anything like that. That's really it for me for today. Until next time, I'm going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.